What if Santa wasn't a symbol of joy, but a weapon of control? What if coal wasn't a punishment, but the lifeblood of an empire built on smoke, quotas, and fear? Our soot-stained heart throws us into a frozen steampunk world where fire keeps people alive while slowly destroying everything they are. This isn't just a comic about rebellion. It's about survival in a system that teaches you to betray your own humanity just to earn warmth. At the center of it all is Peggy Stones, a girl the city never planned for, walking straight into a myth everyone else is too afraid to question. And before we go any further into Peggy's journey north, welcome back to your Captain Comics, the place where we break down the darkest lore, hidden meanings, and stories that refuse to stay buried under the snow. The journey of Peggy. From the very first page, Our Soot-Stained Heart makes it clear that this is not a cheerful holiday fable, even though it wears the bones of a Santa myth. This is a story about fire, coal, and the price people are forced to pay to survive in a frozen world. The opening meditation on fire is intimate and unsettling at the same time. Fire is warmth, life, and movement, but it is also smoke, soot, and sacrifice. The narrator doesn't deny the contradiction. Instead, the city accepts it. Soot stains everything, hearts included, and that stain becomes identity rather than shame. This idea quietly defines the entire comic. We are introduced to the Coalition, a colossal industrial city built against endless ice. Once a dream of creation and ingenuity under Governor Glass, it is hardened into a relentless machine. The streets are packed, the factories never sleep, and smoke hangs so thick that even thoughts feel polluted. Time loses meaning here, except for one looming marker on the calendar: Fuel's Day. Fuel's Day is not just a holiday, it is a deadline, threat, and a justification for cruelty. Everything the city does bends toward it. Coal arrives like a sacred object and a curse all at once. Workers are rushed to plants, quotas barked at them as if they are commandments. Earn your cinder isn't just a phrase, it's a worldview. Survival is transactional, and morality is inverted. In this city, goodness does not earn reward. Being bad all year is framed as necessary because coal is life and coal is controlled by power. Fire becomes ritualized oppression, and the system teaches people to hate each other just enough to keep the furnaces burning. At the center of this world is Peggy Stones. She is not introduced as a chosen one or a revolutionary icon. She is introduced as a worker who tries too hard. When her superior confronts her over failing quota, the cruelty is personal. She is compared to her father, shamed for effort instead of laziness, and warned not to resist. The system does not punish weakness alone. It punishes sincerity. Peggy's punishment escalates into something almost ceremonial when she is chained before a roaring furnace and told, "You've been a good girl." The line drips with irony, suggesting that obedience and suffering are the same thing in this world. The brig on Baron's Eve becomes the first crack in the system's armor. Prisoners openly question the quota system, Governor Glass's hollow promises, and the unseen Baron whose name is used to scare obedience into the population. Marie emerges here as a voice of defiance. She challenges the slogans that claim to offer a better life for all, while clearly serving only the elite. Yet even in rebellion, doubt lingers. Did their resistance actually change anything, or was the quota always a lie?
This doubt fuels a desperate idea. Coal output never stops, yet coal itself is vanishing. Asking why got them in prison, but it also gave them clarity. The rebels decide to exploit the very mythology that controls them. They speak of a dovelet, a quota nuller, someone whose innocence can slip through the system unnoticed. That person is Peggy. She is not powerful because of violence or authority, but because the system does not know how to categorize her. The Pojatar expedition marks the story's shift from confinement to motion. A journey north through the outer frontier toward the Baron himself sounds like madness. Some characters insist the Baron is nothing more than a ghost story, a threat invented to maintain control. Others remember older tales that suggest he is real. something ancient and terrible. This tension between myth and reality runs parallel to Peggy's own journey. She doesn't know whether she's walking towards salvation or a monster, but she walks anyway. Back in the prisons, cruelty continues unchecked. Guards mock dying prisoners, dismiss pleas for help, and enforce suffering with casual indifference. The Baron is invoked again, this time as a final hope when everything else fails. The narration questions whether faith in legends is wisdom or desperation, but it also acknowledges that people cling to stories when systems abandon them. Violence erupts as rebellion finally becomes action. Snow becomes a battlefield. Enforcers are confronted. Guns fire, swords swing, and the white-haired woman declaring she will never meet the quota again becomes a visual rejection of the system's rules. During the prison break, Marie reinforces Peggy's importance. She is not just part of the plan, she is the plan. As a quota kneller, Peggy represents a loophole in an otherwise airtight machine. The escape north is brutal and unforgiving. Rebels clash with hostile forces who understand that stopping this group matters. Even after victories, the characters acknowledge the truth. Winning one fight won't fix the world. Resistance is not glamorous here. It's exhausting and incomplete. Peggy is constantly protected, not because she is weak, but because she is essential. The ambush on the bridge crystallizes Peggy's role. Surrounded by glass puppets who cannot be reasoned with, the rebels make a desperate call. Peggy is told to follow the plan, to spread her wings. She is launched into the air, sent alone to find the Baron. It's a moment of trust and betrayal at the same time. Peggy survives, but she is separated, forced into solitude. What follows is survival stripped down to its rawest form. Peggy crashes into snow and ice, accompanied by strange creatures and ominous sounds cutting through the white silence. She encounters a fallen man in a blue coat adorned with gold chains. Taking his coat is more than practicality. It is symbolic. Peggy steps into a role that was never meant for her, wearing someone else's authority as armor against the cold. As she walks alone, doubt creeps in. She is far from home, carrying someone else's sword, chasing someone else's dream, yet her purpose endures because it is shared. She wants to stop Fuel's Day, not for glory, but for Marie and everyone crushed beneath quotas and smoke. Hope becomes communal rather than personal, and that makes it stronger. The comic repeatedly contrasts brutality with fleeting tenderness. A single strawberry rolling through snow becomes a quiet miracle. Children's laughter briefly punctures the cold machinery of the city. These moments matter because they remind us what the world could be without soot choking every breath. Back in the halls of power, panic sets in. Fuel's Day is only a week away, and unrest is spreading. Lord Worthington learns that Peggy Stones has escaped and may reach the Baron's domain. Her name matters now. She is Old Stone's daughter, a worker's child, daring to disrupt an empire. Worthington's rage reveals fear more than confidence. The system is not unbreakable. It is terrified of symbols. Peggy's memories of her father ground her journey emotionally. He returns home coughing but smiling, offering small gifts and quiet love. Coal is no longer just fuel here. It is absence. There is no more coal, no more work, no more hope, he says. Yet Peggy refuses to accept that finality. These memories explain her resilience better than any prophecy ever could. Alone in caves and workshops, Peggy confronts isolation. She admits she has not had anyone to talk to for a long time. Marie's belief in her becomes a lifeline. Peggy does not see herself as special, which makes her determination more powerful. She works, fixes, learns, and keeps promises even when no one is watching. The regime tightens its grip. Interrogations grow harsher. Operatives are dispatched with orders to succeed at any cost. Peggy is officially labeled a threat to the city, the quotas, and the vision of prosperity. This framing reveals the truth. The system equates control with survival, and anything that challenges it becomes existential danger. In the wilderness, the myth of Peggy begins to shift. Hunters track her, expecting to find a frightened girl. Instead, they find a cave with a fire and a body mauled by a bear. The realization hits hard. Peggy is not prey. She is not helpless. She is something the system never accounted for. As Peggy bleeds, stumbles, and presses forward, a voice acknowledges her journey. Whether this voice belongs to the Baron, the land itself, or something older remains unclear. What matters is that Peggy is no longer alone in the way she once was. Her loneliness has transformed into resolve. The issue closes with Peggy collapsed beneath towering trees. The phrase, "far enough," marking an ending that feels more like a threshold. She has crossed out of the world she knew and into something mythic, dangerous, and transformative. Our Soot-Stained Heart Issue number 1 is not just about overthrowing an oppressive system. It is about how systems teach people to accept suffering as normal, how myths are weaponized, and how resistance often begins with someone who refuses to fit neatly into the rules. Peggy Stones is not a savior by destiny. She is a worker, a daughter, a survivor who keeps walking north because stopping would mean accepting the soot as permanent. And in a world built on smoke and fire, that refusal might be the most dangerous thing of all. Our nerdy thoughts. Our Soot-Stained Heart Issue number 1 ends not with victory, but with resolve. Peggy doesn't defeat the system. She survives it long enough to challenge its very foundation. The quotas still exist, Fuels Day is still coming, and the Baron remains a terrifying unknown. But something has changed. A worker's daughter has crossed the line between myth and reality, and the empire built on soot is starting to crack. This story reminds us that revolutions don't always begin with armies or weapons. Sometimes they begin with a single person who refuses to accept that suffering is normal. And as Peggy lies in the snow at the edge of the world, one thing is clear. The fire that stains this world may burn everything it touches, but it can also light the way forward.